Ruby Dill's day begins at the crack of dawn with an early morning swim at Clearwater Beach, and last Saturday was to be no exception. However, this time, as she was preparing to dive in, she suddenly realized she was not alone.
So as I was standing there, I heard this strange noise. I knew it was an animal. I thought it was a shark or something like that. And so the big face looked at me, bright eyes looked at me. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I said, I think it's a seal.
Her beach companion was actually a 5-week-old gray seal who was very far away from home and one of only a handful of seals to make its way to Bermuda in the last 20 years.
It's very unusual, but once they got caught up in the Gulf Stream and the eddies on the Gulf Stream, entirely possible to come to Bermuda, as it's been shown. Just incredibly lucky for a little seal to hit this little pinpoint in the middle of the Atlantic.
The male pup was exhausted, dehydrated, distressed, and lucky to be alive. His incredible journey from his home over 1,200 kilometers away on the upper eastern seaboard of the United States could have ended quite differently.
There's nothing for it to eat. I mean, it is working off its internal reserves right now because it is a young pup that's probably just weaned. But any number of things can happen. It's in the middle of the ocean, so you've got predators like sharks and things like that, which work, that's what they feed on is gray seals in that area. So to make it all the way here and land on a beautiful beach like Clearwater Beach, I mean, wow, how lucky can you get?
The baby seal had in all likelihood completed this harrowing voyage not long before Ruby Dill discovered him, and seeing the young pup in this state brought out her maternal instincts.
I didn't know if he was hurt or not, but he was communicating with me, and I was communicating with him. Yeah, his bright eyes. I was like, you're so cute. He was looking at me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm falling in love with you.
Fortunately, the team from the Bermuda Aquarium Museum and Zoo were able to rescue the youngster from Clearwater Beach a few hours later and treat him with much-needed fluids. And although Mrs. Dill's encounter with the seal had been a pleasant one, Dr. Walker warned that there are definite risks involved when dealing with wild animals, so it's better safe than sorry.
Well, there is a disease known as seal finger, and so it is, which the Aquarius community does know about. So you can get an active infection. They have bacteria in their mouth that once they bite down on you, you get an infection, so we treat for it. These are wild animals, and they're naturally pre-programmed to resist anything coming too close to them. So he lunges, he growls, he snaps. He's got very sharp teeth because he's like a little puppy. So if you can think of a young puppy and how sharp those needle-like teeth are, it's the same thing. So, when a member of the public finds something like this on the beach, any wildlife for that matter, our strong suggestion, is to stay back, give us a shout on the BAMS hotline, so 293-2727.
Once fully recovered, the gray seal will be flown back home and released into the wild. Julie Matthews-Borchard for Bermuda Broadcasting News.